up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm Monique Melton. I am the founder of the Shine Bright School. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to continue a conversation. If you have not watched part one of this conversation, I encourage you to go ahead, click out, and go finish watching part one or watch it after this. Do what you want to do. It's your life. We're going to be talking about friendships with white folks, and is it possible as a Black person to be in those friendships? Okay. Now, like I said before, this conversation can get folks really excited. It can get folks like, wait a minute, what about? I don't like that. That's this, that's that. Listen, you can argue with your mama, but you ain't got to argue with me. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. You don't even have to leave a comment. But I do encourage you to notice when you're finding yourself feeling uncomfortable and what is that tugging within you that perhaps is a place for further exploration, curiosity. Okay. Now, before we go too much further, I want to encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. Okay. And be sure to leave a comment. You can share this. Let's do it, y'all. Okay. I'm going to give you 4 reasons why these relationships can be complicated, especially for Black folks, and can be harmful for us to be in. There are plenty of Black people who have decided, because of their own reasons, that having close, intimate relationships with white people just doesn't feel worth the risk. And listen, I don't blame you. I am not in the business of trying to tell Black people how to protect and how to navigate and what you should and shouldn't do when it comes to protecting yourself from racial violence. Like, I'm not over here trying to police you. No. If you've decided that for yourself, you're going to have these type of boundaries, these type of limits, that is your right to do so. Period. And there was definitely a time for me, because of my own reasons, especially because I'd had so many back-to-back really painful and racist experiences in relationship with white women, that I had decided, I was like, no more, no more. And right around the time that I decided that, I actually met my best friend who was a white woman. And at an event, when I showed up at the event, I came in there a little late because I caught a later flight, and because I wanted to be at my daughter's graduation. She was graduating from kindergarten, and I wanted to be there. And I walked in, everybody was already at the table, sitting down, and I was one of a few of the Black women that were there. And we were supposed to introduce ourselves. And so I introduced myself to a room of a lot of white women and said, I am tired of white women. I'm tired. I'm tired. And you want to know something? That is probably one of 2, and I've been to a lot of in-person experiences where there were a lot of white women, and not a single time did I have a negative interaction while I was there. I felt like me setting that up put them at a place of awareness that maybe they already were prepared to be, because they were doing their own personal work. But I had a really positive experience at that place, and that was the same place that I met my best friend. And when we started our friendship right away, I was just like, I don't know about this. I don't know if I want to do this. I have been hurt so many times, and I don't know if this is going to work. And she was extremely, extremely respectful of that, didn't push me, and took on her own commitment to doing this work outside of wanting to be in friendship with me, but instead wanting to take on her own personal responsibility as a white woman in doing this work. And that commitment is felt in our relationship. And she is one of the best friends I've ever had. She is such an incredible friend. And I know that has 100% to do with her commitment to doing this work. And I'm just so grateful for the friendship. But I know that for myself, a boundary for me to be in close friendship with a white woman is you have to be doing this work independent of your friendship with me. Like, all of us should have qualifications and quite criteria when it comes to being in friendships with anyone. And I know that when it comes to race and gender and all these different identities and such that we have, that can make things even more complicated or sometimes confusing or challenging. But it's still really important and necessary to understand your identity and your positionality when it comes to being in that relationship and how that plays out. And you just can't take that by chance and just hope that love will be enough, because love should actually inspire us to want to show up in the relationships in the most affirming way, which requires us to learn, to study, to be curious, to take on our own personal commitment to doing our work and excavating those toxic beliefs and establishing new affirming beliefs. Like, love should motivate and inspire us to do that, not just be like, we'll figure it out at some point, because that's just it's just not working. It's not working. It's not working. Okay. One of the things that can make friendships with white folks really challenging for Black folks is that a lot of times the fact that we live in an anti-Black society and a white supremacist society creates obstacles that were there before we were even born, before any of us were even born. And those obstacles and those barriers make it where our frame of references are very different. How I see and experience the world as a Black woman, I have a very different frame of reference because of these systems of oppression, because of the historical trauma and devastation and present day and all these things, than a white woman has a frame of reference. And it doesn't mean that they haven't experienced pain or suffering, but it does mean it's not because of racism. So we don't have a shared frame of reference when it comes to how we experience and how we understand what happens to us in life, which we can acknowledge that and respect that. But unfortunately, a lot of times, though, a white person will take their personal situation of pain, of suffering, and conflate that with a Black person's personal experience of pain and suffering due to racism. And our experiences don't have the same cause. They are not the same. And when you do that, you're erasing the systems of oppression that are informing and creating those situations. And that's crucial. That is so crucial. And so that's one of the things that can make it really complicated to be in those friendships. When you will compare something racist that happened to me with something negative that happened to you. You can have your pain, I have mine, but we don't need to try to attempt to see them as them being the same. And we don't need to erase the systems that are operating that create those type of situations that we navigate. Another thing, and this definitely comes from the legacy of legalized chattel slavery, is that a lot of times white folks will get in relationships with Black people because of the collateral that they could gain, the social collateral, especially, that they can gain. And so there's a desire to be in that friendship because of something you can get in return, get something in exchange. And we don't owe you anything just for being in friendship together. You don't get to cash in on this friendship when you decide that you want to use that in order to gain social capital or to somehow even appear as though you've arrived when it comes to doing this work, or to maybe even get out of responsibility for something racist that you've done. White folks love to tell us about their Black friends as soon as we're calling them out for something racist that they've done. Do not do that. No one wants it. That's not welcome here. No. Okay. Two more. The next one is, there is this sense of expectation to be included in all spaces. And there's this expectation that because we're friends, that you somehow get a a pass to participate in spaces or even just in the cultural aspects that are reserved for Black folks. And knowing where you need to stay in your lane and understanding and appreciating that and respecting and supporting Black culture and the different spaces and the language and all the things that we establish and create for our culture is critical. And one of the things I say to my friend all the time, like, I love how in our friendship there is so much love, there is so much respect, and you are very much a white girl. Like, you ain't slicking the hair back with the hoops and, trying to like mimic gestures and such. Like, you're very much, true to yourself in the sense that you're not trying to mimic, copy and paste my culture in order to seem as though you are one of us. You are very clear in who you are. You acknowledge who you are. You understand the boundaries. You're doing your work to show up in spaces where we are in shared spaces and to be less harmful, like all those things. And respecting that, hey, there are going to be some things that are not for you. There are going to be some spaces that are not for you. Nobody is excluding you or discriminating against you. Actually, it just means that not everything is for you. Okay? It really don't have to be more complicated than that. The last one. And this is something that I experienced unfortunately quite a bit, and it was really crushing. But there is sometimes an expectation that I should choose my friendship with you over my Blackness. And that can come up in a number of ways, and I'll give you an example. If as a Black person, say to you, Jennifer, who's a white person, that something you've said or done is racist and it was really harmful to me. If you reply back saying, well, we're friends, I care about you. I don't even see you as my Black friend. Like, I just see you as my friend. The erasure of my Blackness, the attempt to minimize my experience because we are friends, so therefore I should absolve you of any type of responsibility you have towards me, and showing up and doing your work and causing less harm and reducing and repairing what's necessary. And the fact that you expect me to minimize a major or even just ignore, compartmentalize a major part of my identity in order to be in friendship with you is absolutely absurd. And it's something that is expected so often. The way that we're expected to coddle, the way that we're expected to center your feelings, the way that we're expected to prioritize your intent over the impact, and the list goes on. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you ask me to choose you over my Blackness, I'm going to choose me every time, which includes my Blackness. And I don't want to be in situations, I don't want to be in friendships where I'm asked to choose a part of me. Okay, you get to be a woman, you get to be Black. I'm both. And we see this a lot in the feminist movement as well, but that's another conversation. We also have classes where we unpack these things as well. So this is just a few of the reasons why these relationships can be really uncomfortable and really risky, and why a lot of Black folks just feel like it's not worth the effort, because it does require the white person to take on a good amount of time and energy and investment to be doing their work. And for a lot of white folks, they're just not interested. One, because you don't see it being necessary, and two, because it's so uncomfortable and disorienting, a lot of times feels isolating because you're not in community with other folks who are doing it, which is why we encourage you to be in community with us, because we are doing this work. We are supporting folks in doing this work. And it's a very engaging community where you can learn, you can grow, and you can be accountable and also help other folks be accountable. Doing this work in isolation is absolutely an invitation for disaster. And no, you don't need that. Okay. I really appreciate you checking out this episode today. If you loved it, if you have some thoughts you want to share in the comments, definitely share those in the comment section. Be sure to like, to subscribe, and come continue this conversation and be in community with us over at the Shine Bright School. And as always, keep shining brighter together.